Hi, my name's Phil. I'd like to talk about politics. In this video, I'd like to discuss how the government are only now starting to engage with those involved in haulage across our borders in order to develop the systems needed for those involved in haulage across our borders to manage it at the end of the transition period with just 4 months left to go. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, the way Boris Johnson's government wants post-Brexit customs to work is that hauliers file their paperwork electronically ahead of their journey so that it can all be checked by the system before they get anywhere near a border. They can have their authorisation confirmed by the computer and pass through the border with minimal delay. Everything in order, presumably a few random physical checks here and there. Sounds marvellous. Sounds marvellous. Only problem is that we don't have such a system implemented. And with just a few months left to go, the government is still designing this system, and testing, which is now being talked about at least, has still not begun. So the system is supposed to be working from January the 1st, 2021 at the border between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. You know, the one that Boris Johnson said wouldn't exist. And then other UK borders, the ones that he said absolutely would exist, from the middle of next year. Though I still haven't seen what we're supposed to have in place for those other borders for next January, because, you know, are we just going to not allow traffic to pass across those borders until next July? No, I didn't think so. So there needs to be some system in place, and it is not immediately obvious what that system is. All we've seen so far for the other borders are plans for large lorry parks. But I don't think the intention is to ask lorries to park up for 6 months before being allowed through. Also, I'm not entirely sure how long it takes to build up a load of giant lorry parks, get all the signs sorted on the roads to direct lorries to those lorry parks, and then inform the haulage industry that this is going to happen so that they can work with the system efficiently. But I'm going to guess doing it in a few months is pushing it a bit. You know, I was on the motorway to Tesco yesterday, and it warned about roadworks which will last for 26 weeks. I don't know, you know, what is involved in that particular part of the motorway, but it doesn't seem to be more involved than, say, rewiring Kent's haulage routes. Incidentally, a viewer did link me to an article that shows a hold-up of the construction of one of these lorry parks in Kent due to the discovery of a Saxon burial site. So, you know, last-minute attempts to put in some preparations hits a snag with no time error margin at all. Who'd have thought that? But anyway, if people, as a result of this, thinking, well, there is the impetus surely to get a deal then, you know, then we'll not need it. I will remind people that we will need this regardless. You know, we're leaving the customs union. Even if we agree a free trade deal, which is looking unlikely at the moment and is the best possible deal we could possibly agree at this point. I mean, it's not impossible. Even then, we're still going to need this system in place, because we're not going to be in the customs union. And yet I haven't heard a single expert in either haulage, customs, or designers of custom software, which of course is what's going to be required. I haven't heard a single one say that it can possibly be working properly for January. I've seen plenty, however, say there's no chance of it happening. And even the government have said that it won't be ready for January. But they did say not to worry because there's going to be a backup system in place. No details what that backup system is. Now, I don't think it can be a system, because if you had a system that would work and do the job from January, why wouldn't we just use that? Why are we designing two systems? And why haven't we heard anything about this system? Why are we hearing about the system that won't be ready for January, but we're not hearing about the system that will? So I think it's not so much a system as a planned fiddle in order to give the impression, at least, that we're complying with World Trade Organization terms. But even then, why not reveal it? I mean, if it's just some workaround, why not say what it is? You know, in the interest of letting businesses get ready for Brexit. At the moment, they're not able to because they don't know what the system's going to be. What possible justification can there be for keeping businesses in the dark if there's a plan. Also, like I said, so this IT system is just entering the testing phase. Hasn't started yet, but it's entering the testing phase. You know, and the system is supposed to be designed to allow lorries through if the computer says yes. So lorries cannot pass through the border unless the computer says, yeah, you're fine. So even if that haulier has actually done everything correctly and they've filed everything and they've got their confirmation, are we really going to say that there won't be any hiccups when they arrive at the border? Ooh. And this system, like I said, you know, still being designed right now, 4 months before Brexit. Bear in mind that it can't just be ready to go live at the end of December. That's no good, because hauliers and importers need to have the system up and running and working reliably before then in order to familiarise themselves with it. They're going to need some practice. Like anything else, you don't get it right first time. First time I did a tax return, made an arse of it. You know, any system is not going to be, you're going to have issues. People need time to get used to it. In addition, again, like, you know, with this announcement that testing is going to take place soon and involve working, you know, with the people who are actually going to have to use it, the point was made that maybe they should have thought about using hauliers and involving them in the process much earlier on. I mean, who tries to design a system that hauliers need to use that doesn't involve consulting with hauliers? Boris Johnson's government, apparently. The same government that want to create a new public health organisation and want it to be run by someone who doesn't need any experience in public health. Because actual experience and expertise are not desirable attributes in Britain these days, it seems. And people who followed this channel for a bit will know that I've talked about this particular issue before. You know, what's going to happen in terms of customs arrangements. And of course, I will do so again. And I will do so every time there is some update on it. And that's because, for me, not only is it super important, but it highlights just how deep a Brexit hole we're in. Because there are a lot of things that the government need to get right in order to reduce the suffering of people in Britain due to this Brexit madness. Brexit is no longer about benefits. There are no Brexit benefits. Even the government seems to have given up on that. It is about mitigation. How do we reduce the harm to ourselves? But if we don't get any trade deals and we have to use WTO terms for the most of the world, well, you know, that hurts us. But we can do that. Systems in place to do that. If we struggle to get enough food, medicines and chemicals for purifying water into the country, to say nothing of the much valued toilet rolls, then again, we're hurting ourselves, but it can be done. It's legal, is what I mean. If we don't have systems in place at the borders in order to comply with WTO rules, then we are in breach of international rules. And this is one of those things that the government absolutely, without any doubt, have to get right. You know, and we're not getting this right. You know, the government are admitting that their intended solution is not going to be ready. They won't say what their intended backup is, which suggests to me that they don't yet know what it is. Remember that letter that Liz Truss, who's the International Trade Secretary, wrote last month? You may have heard of that. So she wrote a letter to Michael Gove, who's the Cabinet Minister in charge of Brexit arrangements, and Rishi Sunak, who's the Treasurer. And she asked them, so what's our plan then? So she didn't know what the plan was at that time. There wasn't a plan. She's a Cabinet Minister. If there was a plan, she would know what it is. There wasn't a plan. Do we really believe that in that time a plan has crystallised and is now fully ready just a few weeks later? Just on that basis, I would say, no, of course not. You know, and then again, you would have to think to yourself, so, and if there were a plan, why not announce it? But this is the importance of it for me. So consider this. So if we can't get this right, this thing that we can't ignore, what about all the other things that the government can cock up regarding Brexit without international ramifications, without being taken to court, without having America or China bend us over their knee? What about all of the things that in theory they can get away with if we carry on letting them get away with, but the rest of the world won't care? What about those things? No chance. If the government cannot get the most crucial aspect of Brexit right, namely customs arrangements, I would argue they won't get any of it right. And that's why this issue for me is the litmus test for Brexit preparations in general. This is the thing, even if we were getting this right, doesn't mean to say we'd be making a go of Brexit. But if we can't get this right, then it's like we're not even off the starting blocks. But anyway, there we go. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.